Hello everyone, my name is Lee Fuge and I'm here with Tubesteader to talk to you today about the Beekeeper Overdrive. The Beekeeper is a 2-channel preamp pedal which is handmade in Canada by Tubesteader. This pedal is based loosely on the circuit design for the Dumble Overdrive Special amp. The pedal has 2 separate channels. It has a clean channel which takes you from a warm, rounded clean tone perfect for jazz and soul, right up to some sparkling cleans which are very reminiscent of some Fender style amps. And the overdrive channel goes from a real light blues overdrive right up to a touch sensitive, very dynamic, harmonically rich overdrive sound, very reminiscent to a cranked valve amp. The pedal is incredibly touch sensitive and very, very amp-like. This is in part due to the design of the cascading channels. This means if you're using the overdrive channel, the clean channel volume actually affects the amount of push the overdrive channel gets. The higher the clean channel volume, the more front end shove you get into that overdrive circuit, which gives a real amp-like response. The pedal is tube driven and it has a pair of 12 AX7 tubes in there to really give you that amp-like flavor. Along with this, it has an interactive 3-band EQ so you can really fine tune your tone. And you can also boost this as well. There's a boost which affects the first part of the gain stage. This is the gain stage at the front of the amp, and the way this works is it partially disables the EQ so it hits the first gain stage harder. If you're then using the overdrive channel, you get an additional boost into the overdrive channel. But there's also another boost as well, which is a switchable mid boost. So if you need a little bit more of a mid kick, you can turn that on as well. So we'll start off by looking at some tones and hearing what this can do. So we'll start with some clean tones. I'm going to be using some single coils here. So I've got a P90 in the neck of my guitar, and I've got my bridge humbucker coil split to just a single coil. If we come over to the pedal, I'm on the clean side, which is shown by the orange light here. The green light here is the bypass light, which shows me that the pedal is on. I've got the EQ flat. It's all straight up at 12 o'clock, and the boost and mid switches are both off. So as you heard there, as I engaged the mid boost and the first gain stage boost, you could hear some top end breakup coming in there, kind of like if you had a clean valve amp and you were really pushing it hard. Now that was with single coils. If I now unsplit my bridge pickup to humbuckers, we're still going to get a real full, rich, clean tone. So now we're going to take a look at some overdriven sounds. So I'm going to press the channel switch here and engage the overdrive channel. This light has now turned red, which means we are on the overdrive side. Now, like I said, the 2 channels do cascade into each other, so I can tackle my overdrive tone a few different ways here. So because this is very amp-like, I can use the clean volume here to push the overdrive channel. So the harder I push this, the harder this section works. I can also use the traditional method of just turning the overdrive up. So this is the gain control here, which controls the overall amount of gain. Because of the amp-like architecture of this pedal, The master volume and the overdrive volume will also add gain in the same way that a tube amp would. So there's a little bit of fine tuning to be done here with your own rig. You have to really find that sweet spot between your amp, your guitar and the pedal to get that perfect tone. You can also use the mid boost and the front gain stage boost to also add some more saturation to the tone. So the setup I've got here is the boosts are switched off, the EQ is still flat, and the overdrive is actually up quite high. I've got it at 9. The first clean channel volume is sort of just over halfway, and the overdrive channel volume is on 4. So it's a very harmonically rich overdrive sound there, very much like a cranked amp. It also reacts well like an amp, so if I just turn the volume on the guitar up to 2 or 3, I get that really cool cleaned up rollback sound. So that tone was with the gain control actually causing a lot of the drive there. If I turn the gain control down now and I turn up the clean channel volume, I'm going to be hitting the gain stage harder with my first gain stage. So that results in a completely different type of drive because I'm hitting the gain stage harder. It's a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more compressed feeling. If I engage the boosts as well and I really push that channel volume up full, I'm going to bring the channel volume of the drive side down a little bit to compensate. So as you can hear, that's a very punchy but very bright sounding drive. The EQ section is also very responsive. This allows you to completely shift the dynamic of the pedal. So currently it's all set straight. If I scoop those mids out a little bit, on the clean channel especially, I boost the highs and the lows. This puts us very firmly in a Fender style tonal park. So it's got all those snappy, kind of aggressive, clean US style tones we're looking for. Now if I take this the other way and I push those mids, we're going to get a much warmer, rounded British style clean tone. All the tones you've heard in this video so far have been with the pedal into the front end of a clean amp. Now we're going to talk about two other ways you can run this pedal with your amp. So the first one we're going to talk about is directly into the effects return of the amplifier. So if your amp has an effects loop, you can take your guitar into the pedal, or via your pedal board if you're using one, straight into the return of the amp. So what we're doing here is we're completely bypassing the preamp of the guitar amp. So what you're hearing from this amp right now is just the power amp section. The Beekeeper is providing all of the preamp tones for this. So we'll start off with some clean tones directly into the effects return. So this, like I said, is a combination now of the preamp from the pedal, so that's the 12AX7 tubes and the EQ and gain sections in the pedal, coupled with the power amp of the amplifier. The amp in this case is a 6L6 loaded amp. So now we'll do the same thing with the overdrive channel. So that method is great if you're using this for a gig and you're just showing up and using an amp that you're unfamiliar with. You could dial in your favorite clean and overdrive tones on the Beekeeper, plug straight into the effects return, and away you go. The other great way you can run this is directly into an IR loader or a USB interface. So you'll see I've rearranged the pedal board on top of my amp here. I've added this cab loader pedal. This is essentially an IR and power amp simulator. So what I'm doing here is this is a direct rig. So I've got the preamp here coming from the Beekeeper. So this is my clean and drive channels. All my EQ is coming from here. I've got a reverb then separately because obviously this doesn't have a reverb built in. Then that is running into the cab loader, which is currently simulating a 2x12 cabinet with a Celestion Vintage 30 speaker and an SM57 microphone. I've also got this running through a 6L6 style power amp, so this will sound a little bit like the amp we've been plugged into so far for the video. So this is perfect for anyone who is setting up a direct rig. So if you're going to go to a gig and you don't have an amplifier, you could take something like an IR loader, take the Beekeeper, plug straight into the PA system, or alternatively you could be using this in a studio as a direct rig there as well, so you could get all your favorite tones without needing to mic and amp up. So here's some clean tones direct. And the same thing works with some overdriven tones. Beekeeper is also designed so you can do some tube rolling, and this is a great way to fine-tune the pedal to your own specifications. So the pedal comes stock with two 12AX7s, But if you prefer a lower gain sound, you could put something like a 12A7 or the lowest gain of all, a 12AY7 in the V2 tube slot. You can simply pull the existing 12A7 out, put your new preamp valve in, and then it will change the overall gain structure of the overdrive channel, and it will give you a different tonal palette to work with. If you're looking to integrate the Beekeeper into your rig, don't forget to check the power requirements. This pedal requires 12 volts DC and 500 milliamps of current, so please check the specifications of your pedal board power supply to ensure it can handle it. Using the wrong current or the wrong amount of power can cause irreversible damage to the pedal. As such, Tubesteader have provided a 12 volt DC adapter with this pedal which you can plug in directly. So if your power supply cannot handle these requirements, there is a plug included with the unit as well. Thank you all for checking out the Beekeeper Overdrive by Tubesteader. For more information, please head to the Tubesteader website.